It's 12 o'clock on a Monday afternoon, and you head over to Lowry to grab some lunch. You skipped breakfast this morning, so you're starving, and you have class at 1, so you're in a bit of a hurry, but you didn't expect this to be an obstacle in your way. That couple walking in front of you, holding hands, moving about as slow as molasses. Your level of impatience rises, but this won't be the last time that you see this couple. You finally get your food, and you're sitting down taking that first bite you've been longing for, when you look up to see them making out at the table right in front of you. Appetite lost. Couples like these are showing up all over Lowry with their hand-holding and tongue wrestling, and I say enough is enough. Not only does PDA in Lowry create an uncomfortable setting for others, but it also creates an inconvenience. First, I will describe some of the problems that PDA in Lowry creates. Secondly, I will describe some ways that we can modify this problem with the help of self-control. Third, we'll look at the benefits of these modifications. And finally, I will let you know what you can do to end this problem. So what is the problem? Well, not only does Lowry create an uncomfortable setting for others, or it makes it inconvenient, like getting food or doing homework in the pit. In an in-person interview on April 11th with Christina Schiavone, she told me of a time where her and her lab partner were going to meet in the pit to do a chem lab. Well, Christina had been waiting around and noticed a couple on the couch next to her making out. What she didn't realize until a few moments later was that was her lab partner. Now, her partner had been there the entire time. She was just occupied with other things, her boyfriend's tongue. When I asked Christina if she felt inconvenienced by this, she said, quote, "Yes, because I had to go and get her so we could finish the experiment. It was horrible." In that same interview, Christina told me of a time where she was stuck behind a couple of hand holders all the way to the C-store, adding on an additional 5 minutes, ultimately making her late for class. PDA in Lowry also creates an uncomfortable setting for others. In an in-person interview with Andy Partika on April 10th, she told me where a time that eating lunch became impossible because the couple in front of her was, quote, kissing and hanging on each other, and she was completely disgusted. In another in-person interview with Michelle Kolk on April 12th, she told me that she felt as if she was intruding on the couple. Quote, "It isn't fair since it's a public place. Get a room." And finally, couples partaking in public displays of affection in Lowry get a bad reputation, as in nobody wants to talk to them or be around them because it's disgusting and it's embarrassing. An article from the February 2009 San Francisco Gate interviewed Judith Martin, aka Miss Manners, where she said that being overly affectionate is, quote, "childish and it's silly and it's not very considerate of others." She also adds that people witnessing this indecency are more likely to laugh at the couple rather than think how wonderful it is that they're in love. An article dated September 27, 2007 from CNN.com interviewed Charles Purdy, aka Mr. Social Grace, where he said that extreme PDA, quote, just makes the couple look incredibly immature or quite possibly drunk. He adds, quote, "don't do anything you wouldn't want your mother to see." And in an in-person interview on April 12th with Teresa Butel, she said, quote, "holding hands and all is cute, but snogging in public just seems unnecessary." Oh, Teresa, how right you are. So how serious is this problem? Well, it's a growing problem, for as more and more couples are becoming, the PDA in Lowry increases. Also, more than just students are using Lowry. Faculty, trustees, alumni, even prospective students and their families are taking advantage of what Lowry has to offer. So why should you care? Well, as students, we need to be able to go into Lowry and do what we need without the distractions or being disgusted by couples kissing each other and holding hands. Also, we should care about the tarnished reputation that our school is getting. If prospective students and their families see this indecency happening, what message is that sending? I'll tell you. If you love tongue action in public, then send your child to the College of Worcester. No. So now that I brought your attention to this pressing matter, excuse me, what can be done? Well, if we make couples aware that they're nauseating everybody, the problem should stop. Well, how can we do this? First, I say that we should put little blurbs in the Worcester Voice addressing this problem. Now, these may be humorous, but they'll catch an audience attention, which is what we want. Secondly, I say that we put up signs all over Lowry. Like instead of no smoking, they can be no snogging signs, such as these. And finally, photos captured from surveillance cameras of the couples in the acts. And these will be posted along the wall all the way to the C-store, so people will know that they're kind of creating a problem. Well, how will this fix it? Like I said, the blurbs and the signs, those are humorous. And even though they are humorous, they'll catch people's attention. As well, if somebody is reading that and relates to it, they're more likely to form an opinion about it, whether it's against or for, and still we're catching their attention. And as far as the photos go, humiliation is effective. If people are embarrassed by something, they'll stop doing whatever it does that makes them embarrassed. Well, how do I know this will happen? Well, like cameras at traffic lights, people stop speeding once they get a ticket out of fear of being caught and getting a ticket again. Well, if students are up on the wall and they're embarrassed, they're less likely to kiss and hold hands so that they're not on the wall again. So, I know what you're thinking. Well, Sarah, isn't filming people and posting pictures of them kissing a little creepy? And I say, yes, but they shouldn't be doing it in public in the first place. That's what your dorm is for. I don't want to see it. Nobody else wants to see it. You're just embarrassing yourself. So if you don't like it, don't do it in public. Now, after discussing ways to fix this problem, let's take a moment to imagine a life where public displays of affection in Lowry are no more. You could be able to walk to Lowry and get your dinner without any disruptions or being held up from that couple in front of you moving as slow as a snail. And you could sit in the pit and do homework without the distractions of people begging on the couch next to you. But if you don't act, you may as well walk all the way down to Arby's, down Bell, to get your food, since it would probably take you about the same amount of time as it were if you were stuck behind a couple in Lowry. And as far as getting any homework done in the pit, I would lower your expectations on that too. So over the past few minutes, I've described the seriousness of this problem and how it is bothersome to many, many students. And I've also given you some solutions for ways to end this problem. So what can you do? Well, if you're in a relationship and over the past few minutes you realize, well, I've done this maybe once or twice, or if you're a frequent flyer of this act, just stop. It's simple. Save it for another time and another place. Not a public place. That's an intimate time for you and your significant other to do in your room or theirs. And if you're not in a relationship and you see this happening, say something. Just tell them to stop politely, or if you don't have the courage to do so, find somebody who will. There are plenty of people who find this a problem as well, and I'm sure they would be more than happy to say something. So do you remember those feelings of hunger and impatience? Do you remember how you were so angry at that couple and you also felt nauseated by it? Well, if we all band together, we can put a stop to this indecency once and for all. Any questions? Yes?
So I think in some of your quotes that you cited, they said something like, public hand holding is cute, but further than that is not, blah, blah, blah. And then in some of your pictures, like, it was just a couple's holding hands. So is, like, no public display of affection okay, or is holding hands okay, or, like, what's your limit?
Okay, so her question is hand holding, like, also part of the PDA that's not allowed? And I say, that's not the part that's nauseating, it's just inconvenient. Like, I know the other day I was stuck behind a couple, like the picture I showed in the beginning, they were really walking very slow, and I was really irritated because I wanted to get some lunch. And so it's not that it's nauseating and like gross, it's just inconvenient to it. So I think that's also part of the problem. As far as Lowry, I mean, if you want to walk around campus holding hands, walking to class, that's fine because there's more room to get around you. But Lowry, it's like confined, and especially lunch and dinner rushes, everybody's there trying to get food, and it's just not the time to do it. Yes?
So you're saying there's no possible way to go around a couple holding hands?
Well, it's rude, I think, personally. If it's like you're passing people in a car and they're like mad because you just like bypass them, it's like the same thing. At least personally for me, I feel it's rude if I'm like blowing like past people. You know what I mean? Yes?
Do you mean in the when you're standing in line to eat?
In line, her question was, does it happen in the lines too, like at the food lines? I've also seen not just like hand holding, but people like kiss for no reason, which I don't really understand because you're still next to each other. It's not like you're departing. So I don't really understand that very much. Or one time I saw it happen as a couple walked to the C-store, kissed in the doorway, then went into the C-store together, which I was a little confused about, but I know it's maybe the C-store makes a romantic spot. Yes?
How do you propose getting pictures of these criminals from
Alright, so her question was, how do we capture this indecency? Well, the cameras, I think, would be a good idea to have surveillance cameras around and just film the people, and then we would take snapshots of them and post them on the wall. You know, like the big wall on your way to the C-store where they usually have like other displays of things going on? Well, it's like, ah, we gotcha, and then like, bam, you're there. Yes.
Don't you think there can be other uses for video cameras and Lowry, or they try to catch people holding hands and kissing?
I'm sure, the question was, are there other uses for those cameras? And I say yes, but considering this is a topic so near and dear to my heart, I think this would be a great use of them. Yes?
Do you feel you would run into issues of kind of a student rights thing where of you taking a picture of them in the public area and posting on the wall?
So the question was, is there a form of privacy that I'm passing over? And I say, like I said before, yes, but if you don't want people to see, we're involuntarily seeing it anyway. It's just, you're not taking a picture of it, but people are still seeing it. So I don't really see the difference. It's like, take a picture, it'll last longer. Well, it's like embedded in your brain too. Yes?
Would this camera idea be a school sanctioned thing, or would this be students doing it to other students?
So the question was, would the school partake in this, or would it be student run? Well, as students, and we would be the ones affected by it most, it would most likely be a student-like thing. Obviously, we would have to get permission from the school to do this. We can't just like set up cameras and like creep on people, but yes?
We just got done with like Spectrum's like whole week, and they dealt a lot with like sexuality and exploring love and stuff like that. Don't you think trying to like get rid of PDA? I understand sometimes it can be inconvenient, but I feel like some people just look away or go to a different spot even though it may be inconvenient to you. Don't you think it can be opposing to other people's like love life and living their own sexuality in a sense and just being themselves?
The question was, are we imposing? Well, I honestly, if you want to go do that on other places around campus, if you want to walk holding hands, if you want to like kiss, whatever, but just not in Lowry. Like I said, it's not only students there, it's also prospective students and their families, and they really don't want to see that happening. So I feel like it has nothing to do with like sexuality or like being in love. That's great. I'm totally for that. It's just Lowry is not the place to do that. Yes?
I just have one more question. Do you have like another area that you think these pictures could go? Because one of your points was that a lot of like alumni and trustees have lunch in Lowry. And I think right outside the C-store is right by those meeting rooms where the alumni and trustees often have their meetings. So I don't know if that would really be sending the right message to them. So I was just wondering if you had like an alternative place.
Alright, so the question was, is there another spot for these pictures? On the top of my head, I can't think of any place, but I'm sure there is another place that we could place them so the trustees aren't, right, looking at them as they're meeting. Yes?
What if students took pictures on their cell phones and they sent them to the person who was doing the PDA saying, a little warning, I don't find this to be acceptable. And then that way it would stay more private and maybe people could save face a little bit?
So the question or comment was to like privatize the photos, which is also a great idea. It's just, if you don't know the person, it's kind of hard to, get their contact information or, some people, even I'm preaching up here, like, go say something, but I don't have the guts to do that. So I think by this way, it's like saves you if you don't have the courage to say something. Yes?
I'm on the lacrosse team, and I know that whenever our picture has been taken for, a newspaper or any kind of other public thing, we've all had to sign off a waiver on it, giving permission for our likeness to be used. Do you foresee any sort of legal issues if the school is posting pictures of students without their consent?
So the question was, should we get consent or would there be a problem with the school if there wasn't any consent? I'm not 100% sure on the legal matters of that. I'd have to look into that more. But, I mean, it's kind of, I don't really know what you would say to the couple, like, can you sign this picture of you guys kissing so we can humiliate you on the board? I guess we could do is like blur out the faces of that happening. So there's like that thing. I know when you like film people on TV and some of their faces are blurred out, they didn't have consent. At the moment, that's the only thing I could think of that we could do, so we're not like going into legal issues. Any more questions? Thank you.